All right, guys, I think we'll get started. So thank you very much for everyone for joining us. Today, Massons is very, very lucky and fortunate to host the Liner Wand team. The Liner Wand is something that we've taken on very recently, and we're very excited to have the Liner Wand team joining us this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are in the world, to give us a really good introduction to the system, and we'll hopefully go from there with getting it through Australia, New Zealand and Singapore over the next few months and really make a difference for people's lives. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If everyone can stay on mute, I'll try my best to try and monitor that a little bit as well, just so that it doesn't get too messy with too much noise. And the other thing is that at the top of the screen, you'll find a Q&A button or a chat button. I think we're probably using the chat button. If everyone can just let us know where you're coming from, that'd be great. And any questions, please put them in there and we'll make sure we cover them off at the end of the presentation. But I'll hand over to Liz and the team and get into it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. So I guess really quick, just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen with the PowerPoint presentation. Good. All right, awesome. So my name is Elizabeth Stone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Liner Wand. I've been part of the team, I guess, since the inception of the technology. So today we're going to kind of cover a little bit about the technology as well as some user case scenarios and what we're all about. So to start, I know a lot of you guys, you mentioned in the chat that you're prosthetists, so most of you probably know, but we've worked with other people who aren't quite sure what a prosthesis is or a liner is. So we like to start the presentation off with this kind of slide of the liner, the residual limb, and the socket. So the prosthetic liner is the prosthetic cover made of flexible cushion material. As many of you guys know, it definitely holds sweat, dead skin cells, food, whatever else might get trapped inside of that liner, which can become a breeding ground really for bacteria and fungus. And at least in the United States, I'm not sure about in Australia, but usually the typical amputee will get 1 to 2 new liners every 6 months. So really, something they're wearing every day, which can, cause breathing issues, skin irritation issues, and odor. So I'm going to hand it off to Melissa, who's going to go into a little bit more about some of the issues that patients are facing.
Well, since it looks like, I'm Melissa, by the way. It looks like most of you guys are prosthetists, so most of you have probably seen why we are here. 74% of amputees experience some skin issue, and 70% of those complain of some strong odor. The liner gets stuck with bacteria and skin cells and things like that, and so it's hard for your skin to breathe. No one likes, just imagine yourself putting, some kind of the liner on your skin's going to start to sweat, it's going to get heated, and there is no real place for your skin to breathe. And so that is where the bacteria is going to grow. There is some types of soaps and things out there that have been told how to clean their liner, but it is not the best. And most will say like alcohol, but if you put alcohol on it, then it's going to dry out your skin. So there is many different people have said, but there's not one standard of care for the liner wand. So we have created something that we hope will, we know it changes for the amputees' lives. And a vast majority of the world's amputees suffer from, there's 30 million of them out there, they suffer from skin irritation and discomfort. So we're going to share with Kyle and share his experience with how the liner wand has helped him.
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle Stepp, and I have the honor of being on the Liner Wand team. A little of my story, a little over 2 years ago, I became an above-knee amputee after a tragic downhill mountain bike accident. And so many of you have had those new amputees, and they come into the office and they're eager to get walking again. They're nervous about how do they navigate the challenges of their prosthetics. But I was really naive around the challenges I was going to experience with my liner. Every single amputee at some point in their life will have challenges with sweating, skin irritation, and odor. And that was one of the firsthand experiences. When I got this liner, I wasn't expecting the amount of sweat that I was going to develop inside my liner, and started developing some really bad skin irritation, and as well as started developing infection in my leg with the folliculitis due to not having a clean residual limb. And the first thing I went to was soap and water. So many of us, that's just an easy best practice, and didn't realize for me that there's, as myself and many other amputees, there's a lot of sensitive skin. And so when you do have sensitive skin, first off, you have soap and alcohol actually impacts that negatively. And as contains fats and oils, which is actually a producer of bacteria. And so, I was so frustrated with having a ton of sweat, having odor, and having skin irritation. So what do most of us amputees do? We go to Google and we go to Instagram. And I wanted a solution because I wanted to be comfortable. I wanted to make sure that my skin was healthy. And so that's how I discovered the liner wand. And for me, as someone that's active, I'm pursuing the Paralympics in triathlon. Shout out to our Aussies who held an amazing World Cup race for us in Davenport, and so down in Tasmania. But I needed a solution, and that's how I discovered the liner wand, because as someone that is on the go, knowing that, one, how do I have something that's easy to apply, keeps things extremely clean, and protects my skin? And so love for Melissa, and I would love for Liz to jump in and talk a little bit about the technology.
Yeah, so we have a couple slides in here with, a lot of words, but I think this graphic does a better job at it. So the liner wand really does two things. So I have the wand that you can see here, and it's a two-part chemistry, right? So that's why it's separated into 1 and 2. It has 2 ampules in it, and it's mixed upon use. So the magic of it is really mixing it upon use. So it does 2 things. So as you apply this onto the liner, it physically removes, because of the polar and non-polar solvents that are in there, it physically removes the gunk, right? You can see with the yellow, it physically removes, the bacteria byproduct, the debris, the fats from the soap, the dead skin cells, whatever's kind of built up in that porous material, it's removing it. And then it leaves behind the yellow, as you can see in this photo, it leaves behind this ultra thin shield, basically the new interface between the liner and the skin. So it's leaving behind this titanium silver interface, and that's going to continue to protect not only the liner, but the skin that it's up against. So it's going to help with things like odor, skin irritation problems, further buildup of film on the liner. Let's see. So, a little bit more about it. So it's a titanium oxidative component, 2-part chemistry, like I mentioned. It dries super fast, so it's an easy liquid delivery system. As you can see, you paint it right on, and amputees apply it twice a month. So this is really the deep cleaning portion of it that's applied every 2 weeks.
Is what you're going to get. I hope you can see this. So there's going to be 16 of these in one box. So it'll be like all packed in there. One of these is per a liner. So if your end user has 2 liners, they're going to need 2 of these per application. It's for every 2 weeks. So you can use one. So we've sold them to kids, and keep the wands on my chest. Oh, sorry. Okay. So you can use one for one kid's liner, but most likely for an adult liner, you're going to want to use both of them. Basically, you break them, you start applying it. I like to call it like a glow stick. You're going to hear it, like it's going to little crack and crack rack, and then you shake it and then you apply it. So you're going to need to tell the end user that they need to use one of these per application. They will also get 3 of these little sponges. They are great to scrub. And then on the other side, what I say is when they want to use the cleanser, and they will get a little bottle of cleanser. This is good for 3 months. So one little dab, maybe like a dime size. Well, you guys might not, if you know what a dime size is, just a tiny little size, that they can wet this and then just put it on their sponge, and they are able to use it daily if they want to use the cleanser. They don't always have to use the cleanser, but it does not take our application off. So they can always use the cleanser, but this doesn't come off very easily. Once it's on for those 2 weeks. And so that's you will get 16 of these, so it'll be 3 months worth of a supply.
And I think one thing to mention about the cleanser though is, I know we've mentioned it a few times, typically the soap and water that's out there right now, soap leaves behind a fatty deposit on the liner, right? Which ultimately becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and fungus. You can think of like even in your shower, you'll see the soap scum like on the wall. So this cleanser that we've made is pH balanced. It's a non-soap cleanser. So they can use it, in between applying the liner wand to just wash off some of the stuff that gets on the liner. So even though the liner wand's protecting it, obviously maybe dog hair or other stuff is still going to get on the liner. So they can use the scrub brushes and the non-soap cleanser, as their everyday kind of rinse and wash.
I would also like to say with that, I really did some research on this. There's a lot of silicone in the cleansers, that just normal cleansers that we all use, and it makes our skin feel soft and nice. But with silicone in any of your products, it does leave the byproducts and it's harder to wash off. This does not have silicone in it, and so it's a really great thing for liners. We're gonna share the video of our Footless Jo. If you guys have heard of her, she is one of our big supporters and loves us, and she did a great video on how to use the liner wand.
I'm hoping this video is not frozen, so say out loud if you can hear the video or not.
This is probably the most relevant subscription box I could ever talk about. Hold on to the seat of your pants. This is a thrilling topic. Liner care. So as an amputee, I wear one of these like all of the time. This is called a liner. It's what comes into direct contact with your skin all day long. So it's really important that you keep this well cared for and clean on the inside. You don't want your leg, getting some infectious body-eating disease. I've never actually heard that happening, but I am terrified. So I was sent to this box by the Liner Wand team earlier this week, and I waited until today to actually film the opening of it and trying this out for the first time. We got a cleanser solution, scrubby brushes, and the actual wands themselves. This is actually really cool to me because all I was ever taught with taking care of liners, which I'm sure works just fine, is to use like unscented soap to wash them off every night, and that's fine. Sometimes I found that if there's any kind of soap residue, it will give me like sores and blisters or just really, really irritated skin. Using something that is actually formulated for liners sounds fantastic. This will be very helpful in getting dog hair off. And we are clean and temporarily free of dog hair. I'm sure if this exists in my house for more than 20 seconds, it'll be full again, don't worry. So these are the actual liner wand. They are a 2-step process. First, number 1, you break it. Okay, all right. Then number 2, then shake it up. You can kind of see it filling with the liquid right there. Then we just do some painting and drag the liner wand down the liner. This is going to coat it with a solution. I have heard a few people talking about how it really helps with sweat, which I'm really interested to see. I will give you guys an update on that in my Instagram stories. Sweat is always an issue for amputees because this is not breathable by design. It needs to stick to your body, which also means that it fills up with sweat and gets real gross and icky sometimes. Beautiful painting job, Jo. We're going to let this thoroughly dry. These are designed to be used every 2 weeks. You can use them more often if you want to. So this is going to sound just a little bit gross, but this gets to smelling kind of weird sometimes because, again, it's in contact with your skin literally all day. I just did a smell test after using a liner wand, and that smell is totally gone, which is absolutely amazing. Ta-da! So I'm going to tag the Liner Wand's Instagram account in the description of this post. But I love how this box comes. It's really easy and simple to use. Like I said, it's by far the most relevant subscription box I could ever imagine. I didn't know this existed up until a couple months ago, and so I was really excited to share this with you guys. I will definitely be using this consistently and keeping you guys updated on the progress. Actually getting the box itself, I was kind of curious how easy it was going to be to take out and use. Like, is it pretty foolproof? And the answer is yes. I was able to very easily use it, and I will be using these supplies in the future, especially these guys, to get that gosh darn dog hair out of my liner. Thank you, Liner Wand team, for sending these to me, and if you're watching, you're an amputee, or you know an amputee, make sure you check them out.
Awesome. We absolutely
This is
love
probably the most relevant to
Joe has actually become a really good friend of mine. And so to close out with the benefits, I think Joe hit on a really couple of key points. Is one, we need to make it as easy as possible for our limb loss and our limb difference friends and our communities to keep their liner clean, to protect the skin, because ultimately what that does is it prevents the long-term effects of what skin irritation and odor can do to our patients. And so we'd love to open up to any questions that you all may not have.
But to lead off, I'll ask one question. Is that the kit comes with 2 wands in each? Just wondering, is 1 wand enough for a liner, or do we need to use both wands? Is that one treatment, or do we get 2 weeks out of 1 wand and therefore you get 4 weeks out of 2 wands?
So we have one card in there with 2 wands on it, and the 2 wands is because most liners need a little bit more than 1, so we put 2 wands on the card. So the treatment is 1 card, which is 2 wands. You know, some individuals can get away with just using one of the liner wands. Depends how, you know, short or long their liner is, but just to be safe, you know, we put 2 on a card for each treatment.
Cool. And Natalie's asking, does it work for polyurethane liners? So can we just talk a little bit about the types of liners that it's good for?
Yeah, so we have we've included at the end of this presentation, so anyone can go click on them, but we have, you know, white paper studies that we've done on, you know, all the different types of liners. So it does work on the polyurethane liner.
Hi folks, I'm Brooke Rosh. I'm on the Liner Wand team. I'm the VP of Business Development, formerly worked at OSER for close to 2 decades. And I'm married to an amputee athlete myself. And so I'm very personally familiar with the hygiene issues related to being an amputee. But one of the things I wanted to point out that hasn't been touched on quite yet is, you know, how precise do you have to be with applying the wand? And so I want to speak to that specifically. You don't have to be super meticulous, because the apocrine, which is the key ingredient in the liner wand, has a kill zone. So and that kill zone is quite significant. So again, and this maybe speaks to the 1 wand versus 2 wands. I think it's possible that if someone had a small enough wand and they really weren't too meticulous about trying to get, you know, the whole surface area covered, but left some, you know, little gaps, they might be able to get by with 1 wand, because the kill zone extends beyond where the solution is applied. Okay, so just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Brooke. Be great. Daniel's just also asked a question. Now, some liners advertise that they have some various mineral benefits and build up in them. Does the liner stop those benefits?
So the mineral benefits, when you're initially applying the liner wand, you kind of want to wipe them off so that the liner wand sticks to the actual liner. I have my own personal opinion about the minerals being a bacteria breeding ground for fungus and bacteria, but it doesn't stop them. Like the minerals will still be able to get out of the liner. But, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of the mineral liners from doing studies of how the bacteria grows inside of them. But I would advise to wipe off at least the top coat of the minerals before applying it on. And then, you know, the minerals will still leak through the liner after it.
I think sorry.
You go, Melissa.
I also have 2 other things, because I work with a lot of the customers coming through and they ask questions. One of the questions that a lot of times comes through is that their skin kind of breaks out right after they've used the liner wand. And so they say, oh my gosh, we just stopped using it. Well, I don't know how to tell them this, that it's already still on the liner and it's not coming off. So once they used it for a couple days, then that infection or the skin irritation or whatever has gone away, most likely because what's happened is their skin was so used to the bacteria that was on that liner that their skin got used to it, and it's kind of gross. And so when the liner is now has this great new barrier on it, it's clean, and so your skin has to get used to the clean part of it all. So that's what's happening. So they may get like a quick skin irritation, and it will change within a week of flipping and being like, oh my gosh, this really works. So that's one of them. The other one is that sometimes if they have not been taking care of their liner very well, the liner could discolor it just a little bit. That is perfectly normal and is okay. It just means that our solution has gotten to the end of the grossness and pulled that grossness out, and that's the coloring that has happened because of the bacteria mixing with our upper cream.
As someone that uses it every other week, it literally takes seconds. It dries within about 5 to 10 seconds. Depending on your climate. If it's a little bit more moist where you are and more humid, it may take a few more minutes to dry, but it's a quick turnaround. And then as someone, they can put it right back on and they have that protective barrier. And to close out with that, for all of our teams that are, for our prosthetists, I think it's really important that we continuously advance our solutions to make it extremely easy for our limb loss and our limb difference community to stay healthy and active, which is why I'm a full believer in our product, because number one, keeps things extremely clean. We create that protective barrier that's protecting the skin. And third, it is easy to use for our members and as well as for the patients.
Awesome. Thanks for picking that one up, Kyle. So for everyone out there, we currently have stock at Massons, so you can start ordering from today. Hopefully we get a flood of orders. That'll be fantastic. But we have the kits all in stock. We also have travel kits in stock, and we can send those out as a trial as well. So if you'd like to have a look and see, there you go. The guys are holding them up for me. So if you'd like to have a look at the system and see what it looks like, what a 2-week treatment would look like, then we do have some of the Liner One travel kit that we can send out for you guys to have a look at. If you could send us an email either straight to me, phil@massonshealthcare.com.au, which is where we would have got the link from, or through to info@massonshealthcare.com.au is probably even better. That'll go through to our ordering system. So that'd be the best option. All right.
Awesome.
So I'd like to say
having us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to the Liner One team for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll go from there. Cool.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks very much, guys. See ya.